Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everyone, to the Life Choices podcast. Here we are at season 2. I am your host, Bradley David, and on today's episode, we are welcoming Toni-Ann Martorano. Yes, as I have to think about it as I'm saying it, even though you've told me 4 times already. If you could do me a favor and just let our viewership know here a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, and kind of how you got there.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, I'm Toni-Ann. I am a research associate for a pharmaceutical company working on neurological disorders. I also work at the gym as a manager. And a little bit about me, I'm from Long Island, New York. Moved to Florida about 10 years ago and pretty much have loved it ever since.
You went to high school, then you went straight into university.
Yes.
And in high school, you were taking, did you know that science was kind of like where you were going to go in university?
Yeah. So when I first started in high school, I learned about, DNA and cloning, and I kind of just fell in love with it. So that was my track ever since.
Okay. Aware of the discipline that one would have to have in order to get into the field you're in, because it's not something that everyone can actually do. I had a friend back in the day that actually went to pharmaceutical school, and it actually took this person, I think, more than one, possibly more than 2 tries to get through it because it's a difficult program. You having that discipline as an individual, as a young individual, where you were in high school studying sciences and then, knowing that you were going to go to university, what was it about the science that kind of drew you in to start doing that?
I just really loved it. I guess one thing would be my dad. He has a lot of medical issues, and it kind of just drove me. He told me one day about stem cell research, and I was like, oh, Dad, I'm going to grow you a new heart with stem cells. And ever since then, I was just kind of like, that's actually pretty interesting. So, science was just the way to go for me.
We're going to dive into that in a second, if you're okay with it.
That's fine.
So I like talking about the discipline because it's something that a lot of our guests have all kind of related to when it comes to getting to themselves, to their success. And most people don't understand what true discipline actually is, or the amount of work it actually takes to get you to where you're trying to go. People just think it's very simple and you just do A, B, and you'll be there. The discipline you had, you also played sports when you were younger as well in high school, right?
Yes.
And it was competitive?
Yes.
So you're doing competitive sports and you're doing, I say higher level classes, which is your science and maths, where you have to then eventually get into university. What was your daily routine back then in high school then? Because I have to imagine you have a full day of school.
Yeah. So full day of school, practice after that, and then I actually tutored after. So I was basically at school from 7 in the morning, didn't get home till 7 at night.
You mentioned earlier before we started recording of taking some classes to prep you for university.
Yeah. So something I thought was interesting when I moved here senior year of high school. They had different academies that you could choose from. They had science, business, medical. So I kind of went the science route, which is the biotech route. And you pretty much just take, a more in-depth science class, which will prep you for college.
Okay. Were you fucking around with cool little things in science class? All I did was dissect a pig and a frog.
Yeah. So I did that in anatomy. This class was more chemistry based.
Okay. Blowing shit up?
We used torches.
Yeah, we used torches. Okay. And then I know a little bit about you from previous conversation. We're going to bounce all over the place here in this conversation. So the first field that you were working in after graduating university was blowing shit up.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah. So worked at the USDA and did a steam explosion on citrus waste. So we went to local processors. They'd just give us their waste, and we'd explode it and do tests on it.
And so what were you kind of what was the tests about? What were you trying to find out about the citrus waste?
So we wanted to prove that you can extract valuable compounds from basically something you're just going to throw away. So you can still make money off of it and, use it.
Okay. I don't know why I want to say self-sustaining, because it's not really what I'm trying to get at, but that's just it's smart usage of everything you have, yeah. Right? I think that's when when I was a kid, we didn't really, recycling came into effect late 80s, early 90s. And then clearly this is the reason why people try to keep certain waste so they can repurpose it, basically. All right, so you had fun blowing shit up for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you went down a different route.
Yes, that's when I went into pharmaceuticals.
Okay, and different schooling?
So no, same schooling. I can use my degree for it. So my degree is in genetics and biotech. Pretty much it's just, science based.
Okay.
It's specialized because of certain classes you take, but the underlying concept is the same.
Okay. The base level is science. Everything else that comes above it can be specific to what you might end up researching.
Yes.
So let's break down the schooling aspect. High school was over. You did some classes to prep you to get into university. And 8 years is a long fucking time.
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah.
I took 10 years off of high school, after high school, before I went to culinary school, which was 1 year. So 8 years of schooling, what was that course load like?
It was pretty intense. I was doing like 5 classes a day. And the reason it took so long is because I changed my degrees a few times. Started in education, didn't like it. Went to chemistry. It was fine, but a lot of the jobs that I wanted were back up north and I wasn't ready to move. Switched again to biology, and that was great. But then I found Florida Tech, and they had a genetics degree. And I said, I want to do that. So that put more years onto it. So it took me a little longer to get my bachelor's. But then my master's was just about 2 years.
Master's. And the master's is in?
Biotech.
Biotech.
Yeah.
Just super smart shit. That's what we're just going to call it. Super smart shit. Backtrack a bit. In school, again, a very disciplined individual, because more than most, I'd have to say, because you didn't just go to school for 8 years, but you were trying to figure out what avenue of school you wanted to do, and you weren't taking time away from it. You basically, okay, I'm assuming each time was like a year and a bit, and then you were like, all right, let's try this one. What was like, I mean, your course load, I mean, I'm assuming probably, again, full days and then probably multiple jobs after school.
I was working at the gym at the time. I was just doing, basic front desk, kids club kind of thing. So I would have classes in the morning, or I would work in the morning. I'd have classes in the afternoon, and then I'd go back to work in the afternoon after that. And then, that was my day. Just
your day?
Work, school, work.
Wow. And time with the family?
A little bit.
A little bit? Because were you living at home or were you living at school?
No, I was living at home. I wanted to try and save up as much money as possible.
Smart move. It's the only time that I think I will support someone for staying at home longer than one should, is, if you're in school and you want to save money, makes sense. Parents aren't going to be upset that you're still living in the house because you're going to school. If you're not going to school, you're just fucking working, go get your own place, get out of your parents' house, let them live. This ability to be so disciplined.
Yeah. I kind of just knew at a young age that, school was kind of easy for me. And then I was able to use my other time for things that I would enjoy, because I knew school was just always like, yeah, I got this. Okay.
So because like you would open up a book and read something that, whatever the, fuck, I don't even remember, it's been so long, the test or whatever the reading was, you could just kind of read it once and it just kind of stuck in your head, and, homework was done quickly.
I'm an Audible learner, so pretty much all I had to do was listen to the lecture. And that was it. We're
gonna reel this back in for a second. I'm an Audible learner, she says.
Yeah. So there's different types of learning. There's some people who are visual, where they need to see it be done. Some people have to read it. I need to hear it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jesus, you don't even have to go to school then. You can just put a pair of headphones on and you're good. I'm a hands-on person. Like, obviously being someone that cooks for a living. I had to do the theory aspect of it, which I did understand what it meant to study, and graduated top of my class, knocked that out of the park. But it was difficult. I really did have to sacrifice a lot, because I was 27 when I went to culinary school. And at the time I was working full time at a restaurant. And when you're in that lifestyle, it's very much, hey, let's party, let's drink, let's go out. And I had to say no to all that, and just basically I went from 7 days a week at the restaurant to 2, and on those 2 days it was like, as soon as I finished my shift, I went straight home to study. But when it came to the hands-on aspect, that shit was easy. Someone would put a leg of lamb on our station, and I had no idea at that time how to like take it off the bone, and I just took a knife, figured it out. I didn't even hesitate. And it was like, that was easy for me. It was very second nature. It was like an extension of my hand. I just, done. Teacher was like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't know. Next. That's awesome. An audible learner. So you just basically listen to anything and you can just retain it.
Yeah. I mean, if I know that like I'm going to be quizzed on it, or if it's an important piece of information, yeah, I'll retain it.
And you don't drift while you're listening?
Sometimes.
Okay. Wow. I'm curious about that one now. So what would you do in university then? Because it's demanding to become in the pharmaceutical field. It's very demanding to pass. What would you do in your downtime? Like, obviously everyone needs an outlet to kind of like relax.
Just kind of hang out with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No extra reading or no homebody shit. No. Out.
Always
partying.
need to do something.
Bowling. Golfing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any of that stuff.
All of it.
Okay. Little drinking.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You need that.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, but that sounded like she did it a lot, but still got the grades because she's, pharmaceutical researcher. She's a fucking scientist, everybody. All right, let's dive back into what might be a bit more of a heavy topic right now, only because you brought it up and you said it was okay. Your father had a lot of medical issues.
Yes, still does.
Still does.
Yes.
Your dad is how old?
He's 57.
Okay, and can we discuss what these issues might be?
Yeah, so right now he has what's called an LVAD, which is a left ventricular assisting device. Basically, he has no left side of his heart. It's just a pump. So he's got like a mechanical pump, like heart.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the that's been there forever?
No, he just got that last year.
Just got that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's been an adjustment. He needs to be on battery all the time or plugged into the wall. So I call him Robo-Dad. Since like 2005, we found out he's got a lot of heart issues. So, being in doctor's offices all the time, in and out of the hospital multiple times, just a lot of health complications from that.
And how did you deal with that, being that was happening while you were in school?
Yeah, it happened, I think, when I was like 8 or 9.
I'm sorry. My math is obviously not bad. I'm not even going to try and figure it out. When you were 8 or 9 years old was the first time when he started going into the hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is like your whole life.
Yeah.
Your dad's been in and out. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can relate. My dad's not with us anymore. 5, 6 years now. This month. My dad had 9 heart attacks.
Oh my gosh.
2 quadruple bypasses, 6 ablations, and a pacemaker put in a year or 2 before he passed. Then he got diagnosed at the end with stage 4 tumorous brain cancer and lung cancer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So his first heart attack was when he was like 30, and I was just born.
Wow.
Because he's 30. Is 30 years older than I am. I think one of my brothers came home from school once and found him actually and saved his life. But yeah, so I understand what it's like to grow up your whole life with this situation. My dad was constantly, in and out of the,
Right.
I think I was 25. I think I was 25 years of age the last time he had a heart attack. So imagine that in 25 years span, the man had 9 of them.
That's insane.
Yeah, in and out constantly. We were lucky because his best friend at the time was like, I don't know the proper terminology, but he was like the doctor that ran the whole hospital.
Okay.
So he was always, taken care of, obviously, because in this world, it is a little bit to do with who you know, not just what you know. So I understand how difficult that can be. Did you have to help out a little bit
Yeah.
with your mom?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was younger, I couldn't really do too much. But, if my dad was like, oh, can you do this for me? Like, yes, absolutely. I'll do it for you. So I kind of had to help out a lot in that. But again, I was so young when it first started. I didn't really understand. I just remember like, oh, we're going to the cardiologist today. Like, I get to see my friend. Like, cool. I was friends with the doctor.
Yeah, of course you were.
Yeah. Of course.
And I'm sorry, we went lighthearted right away with this heavy topic. And then when you were at the hospital, were you like asking the doctor like stuff because you're like so keen on like the science stuff?
No, I actually get kind of grossed out by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What aspect do you get grossed out by?
So I like see it and then
Right.
I think about it getting done to me and I don't like that.
Okay.
So like
All right.
all like my dad's scars, I can't look at them because I'm like, oh, I can only imagine how that feels.
And so interesting because I always thought it was really cool, my dad's scars. I'm assuming he has the same one, like the
one right down.
staple all
He's
together.
got this one, and then he's got one for the pacemaker defibrillator. He's got a whole bunch.
Yeah. My dad had the other one, which was like down here because they took something from here to put in here for over my head. Went home that summer real quick for like about a week because I had like time in between the charter trips that I was doing on the boat. And again, don't like hospitals, but for him, I'll fucking show up no problem.
Right.
Like I get that. And I went with him to he had to go in that tube thing.
Okay.
Whatever that is to get like a whole
CAT scan.
There you go. Figured you would know what I'm talking about. And I had to just stand beside him because he had to stand very still, and my dad was very claustrophobic. So am I. And so I just had to stand beside him while he was going through it and just kind of talk him through, let him know what was going on the screen, how much time was left. So I got no problem when it comes to that situation, but I definitely don't want any of that shit to happen to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I try to stay. That's why I'm at the gym all the time, trying to stay physically fit. So you've dealt with a bunch of shit, clearly, in your life at a young age, throughout your whole life. You didn't have siblings to lean on, anyone in those situations. Did you have certain close friends?
I look at it as people are coming in seasons. So it's like whoever was there at that time that I was close with, like, yeah, like that was who I relied on. But then, you know, once that passes, it's like, okay, the season's over, you know, move on to the next.
I'm smiling right now because I can't agree with you more on that topic. It's funny. Couldn't tell you which episode that we touched base on that a little bit. You can't be upset with those who are in your life now that won't be later, because they are coming into your life for a period of time. And even if they're the closest person in your life ever, it doesn't mean they always will be.
Right.
Appreciating them for who they are at that time is important. And then if they're gone, you just have to be grateful that they were there for that time. So
Exactly.
I love how you put that in seasons, and seasons come and go. What I found fascinating is your uniform at work, which I'd like the audience to hear about again.
Yeah, so my uniform is basically what I'm wearing. As long as it's long pants, closed-toed shoes, t-shirt, or long sleeve, you're pretty much good to go in the lab.
Okay. And there are 2 coats.
Yes, there's 2 lab coats that I have. One is fire retardant, you know, so don't catch on fire when I'm doing some crazy things.
Important.
The second one is a tissue culture lab coat, so it prevents from any fibers coming off of you and contaminating your cells.
What you're doing now, because we touched on this earlier, you were into blowing up shit first,
Yeah.
the citrus waste. Then you got into
The pharmaceutical research.
the Alzheimer's
Yes.
research.
Okay. So
right?
I started with Alzheimer's. I'm now working on muscular dystrophy.
Right. Okay. So, because we had a conversation earlier about this sort of stuff, the Alzheimer's work is where you were kind of doing genetic testing.
Not necessarily genetic testing. You just work with genetic molecules. So like RNA, you do a lot of work with that, and you see like different genes and stuff.
I love how you say things to me, and I must have like a complete blank look on my face when you say something. You're like RNA, I'm like researching something.
Your expression changes just a tiny
Oh,
bit.
instantly. Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm fully like hard on the sleeve type shit. Like, oh, I can't hide nothing. Absolutely. So what was it?
RNA is ribonucleic acid.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was my second guess.
Of course, you should have known
absolutely. So you know the whole periodical table.
Oh,
Periodic
heck no.
table. No?
No.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Do you?
No, fuck no. H2O?
That's not on there.
Nah, see, I don't even know that then.
Well, there's H and there's O. But,
See, there you go. And that just proved the public school did so good here. So good. Okay, fair enough. Try not to sound stupid anymore. So you did all that with the Alzheimer's research, and then
Just transferred projects, so it's still there. It's just not a primary focus anymore.
okay, and the primary focus now is MS.
No,
No.
it's muscular dystrophy. A little different. MS is, I think,
so many
multiple
words.
sclerosis.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I love it because you actually know every word. So what is it that you're doing now in research?
Kind of the same thing. We're still looking at RNA, but we're just trying to find a drug that will kind of remedy the ailments.
Okay. Like get rid of them or just
Not
help?
completely, but help with that.
Okay. And you're not working directly with any patients?
No.
There's no worry of attachment or anything like that? Because
No, it's all
unfortunately-
cell-based, yeah.
All cell-based, so not dealing with other humans besides the ones you work with.
Right.
Obviously. At times because you're by yourself and people tell you to figure it out yourself. It takes a certain individual, a certain mindset to be focused on that sort of stuff and have the mentality to continue on with it in order to get to the success where you're at now, where you're a successful researcher, scientist. Was that something that developed over time? Was it instilled in you from like your parents?
Yeah, I would say it was kind of instilled. My dad always kind of told me, he was like, if you're going to do something, do it fully. You know, if you set your mind to it, you need to just do it.
Okay.
You know, don't half-ass it.
Right. Show up, keep doing the work, be better than the other people don't be better than others, but be the best at it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I'm referring to the Mamba mentality. Do you know what that is?
Kind of.
Kind of. You know Kobe Bryant, basketball?
I know of him.
You know of him? Okay, awesome. My roommate, TJ, actually got me into more of the love of basketball. And then obviously, you know, I know MJ, Michael Jordan, but then, you know, learning about Kobe and his mindset on how he got to become one of the GOATs. Is all about that sort of stuff. It's the mindset. It's the keep going at it, you know, showing up for, I say practice, but going to class, you know, more than others, getting the work done in time, but, you know, having that, that drive to keep going after it. So that's clearly in you, instilled from your parents, which is quite nice. They must be super proud.
Yeah.
They must be. They absolutely have to be.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your dad actually was hoping that you were going to go into trade school.
Yeah. So when I first told him I wanted to do science, he was not happy. He was like, why don't you do a trade? You'll always have a job. You'll have something to fall back on. It's great. Like, yeah, but, you know, it's not really what I want to do. Even, you know, when I started working at the gym, however long ago, he was like, oh, just stay with it. Maybe you'll be manager one day. You can take that and just run with it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't really want to do that. That's not all I want to do.
Right.
So.
But you did get management.
Well, yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it happens. So see, he's double proud then, because then you did excel in the job and you got the management job, and then, you know, you're also clearly a success at work. And how long have you been at the research now? How long ago was university over?
University was over about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been at the same research lab since you graduated?
With my master's, yeah.
With your master's. Okay. So a year and a half with your master's at the same place. Was there anything that like you had to do that was kind of like uncomfortable, like out of your comfort zone?
When I first started, I had never worked with cells before. So when they said, oh, here are your cells, you know, just here, this is what you need to do, I had no idea what I was doing. It was me and another girl that had started on the same day, and she knew exactly what to do. Her previous lab was like super into cell work, everything. I was like, I blew up fruit. Like I didn't do any of this.
You had fun blowing up fruit.
I had fun.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of this. So it was just...
Did she help you?
Yeah. She was like talking me through what to do as I was reading the protocol. But it was still kind of nerve-wracking. Like I didn't want to mess anything up. And, you know, if the cells died, that's the problem.
That's a big problem, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have backups of this shit.
They do, but,
Okay.
you know.
But they don't want to.
You don't want to use them.
I gotcha. But you could have gotten an Audible book.
I could
The
have.
protocol, and
Yeah.
that would have just solved your problem.
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see. I want to I don't know, I'm going to figure out something to get you Audible something and then test you on it to see if this is like a thing. Because I would just be like, I read, obviously I read, but it's only been like a year or so that I've been reading like regularly, but I'll notice sometimes my mind drifts. So as I'm reading a page, if I feel like I haven't absorbed it, I'll go back up to the top. I won't like hit a dot or anything. I'll just reread it until I'm like, okay, yeah, I paid attention. Or I will mentally tell myself to let go of what's distracting my brain so I can focus on what's there. But for me to just listen to a book, I don't think I would retain anything. What would you say is like the level of pressure at work? Because everyone has different jobs and everyone deals with pressures differently. And I have to, again, I'm just imagining, because I've never been in your field, I would be completely lost if I walked into your lab. What kind of pressure do you think is on your shoulders with regards to all this research?
So it is pretty demanding. You know, they want to find something that's going to work. And to do that, you have to screen so many different molecules that we have. So it is a lot of pressure. You do have to do a lot of work. It is very labor intensive, but you also have to be realistic about it. You know, you can only do so much. If your boss is telling you, hey, we need to get all this done, just don't be afraid to speak up and say, I physically can't. Like, you have to be realistic about what I can't do. If you're telling me to do, 20 different extractions a day, like, yeah, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like, you'll get 12 out of me max. Okay. And just kind of, be real about it.
So you have self-awareness and you have the ability to tell your boss, slow your roll. Yeah. In the most professional way.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say are some of the key factors to your success?
All of my schooling with that, it's prepared me to not only, have knowledge going into it, but also knowing how to obtain more knowledge if need be. So I mentioned kind of before having to look up different papers, knowing where to find the information is just half the battle. You have to find it. And then once you find it, like, okay, now let me retain it. So schooling is definitely a big part of it. And I think my personality also is just a big factor. I'm very capable of adapting.
Okay.
To any kind of situation.
Someone says I'm very adaptable to any situation. My brain right away goes to, okay, something must have happened that created the ability to become adaptable.
I think it's just learned behavior. So okay. I've worked in different fields before going into science. Like, I didn't always just work at the gym and then do this. I've had a few other jobs, and just kind of learning from my surroundings, seeing how different people act. So if someone were to come in and act a certain type of way, I would see how the other person would react to it, and then kind of use that and just say, oh, I don't want to cause this reaction by certain people. I see how this person is. Let me not do what that person just did.
Okay. No, that makes total sense, because how I would relate to that is my belief that we have zero control over 99% of the things that happen in life. What we have control over is, we don't even have control over our emotions, because they're emotions. They just happen. Everyone has them. What we have is the ability to control our reaction to those emotions. So with that belief that I have, what you're saying is you have the ability to look at a situation and see how someone reacted to a situation, which is basically how they're emotionally reacting to something, and then that person's reaction to them, and you take out from that what you don't ever want to do to someone, right, and what you don't ever want to have done to you. To prevent that, you then adapt and know what is the better route to take in order to get to the end result.
Exactly. And I've learned a lot of that in management as well. So when I was first starting managing a gym, you have to hire a whole bunch of different personalities, and, you can't manage everyone the same way. So there was one kid that I noticed I needed to be more of like a big sister kind of figure, and talk to him as I would as like a sibling kind of relationship. Whereas another person would be like, hey, on a more level kind of basis, like, this is what's going on. This is what I need to be fixed. Let's move on from there. Whereas, like, someone else comes in, different personalities. You got to just adapt to it.
So you've learned on how to work with other people, but also how to relay the information to an individual so they'll receive it well and then act on it based on the way that you talk to them.
Yeah.
So you either talk to them on the same level because you understand, like, hey, we're the same people. Let's do it this way. Or they need more direction, or maybe they even just need less direction, but a bit more push.
Yep. Any
traumatic situations, any life-altering events? Like I said, you have a wonderful disposition. You have wonderful discipline, and you have abilities of adapting. Was any of that brought on because of something negative?
Probably.
Can't pinpoint it.
There's a lot of trauma back here.
Oh, is there? Okay. Well, let's get into it. We all have it.
Well, obviously there's stuff with my dad. I know I look young, but I'm also divorced, believe it or not.
Okay, I can't drop this, but mic drop. Boom. Okay.
So
rewind.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, you do look young. And I'm trying to do the math now in my head because there was like 8 years of university and a year and a half after that.
I'm only 27.
You're only 27.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not you're not 19. You're 27 and you're divorced.
Yep.
Wow. thank you for sharing with us, because it's not
Of course.
boom. Okay.
It's out there.
How
It's
did
fine.
that go?
So we were together for a while, married at 23. And he just kind of showed his true colors, and I wasn't about it. In a nutshell.
There's a cartoon where like the animal's jaw just like falls down to the ground, and that's pretty much what I'm at right now. Wow, thank you so much, because that's a big share. Wow, okay, 23.
Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were together for a while before that.
Yeah.
Okay, so like high school.
Yep.
Wow, girl.
I know.
Man, okay. I need to absorb all this right now. Some of this moment might be edited. I don't know. Or you might be watching me say edit, but it doesn't happen. High school sweethearts, married at 23. Mm-hmm. Is he in the same field?
No.
No. Okay. Athlete?
Was. Not anymore.
What? Okay. Fair enough. Recently?
It was finalized in March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Took a
Finalized in
while.
March, but obviously had like started finalizing.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago. So
Yeah.
it was about a 2 and a bit year marriage, which was
Yep.
okay. But then True Colors, was it True Colors showed up, or was it, all right, now we're not this age, we're this age, and the growth of an individual, he became different?
That may have had something to do with
Okay.
it. But it was more like there was a lot going on in my life. You know, my dad, how I mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he got his LVAD and all of that stuff pretty recently. And that's kind of when a lot of this started. The support just wasn't there, and abuse kind of started. And I was like, yeah, no, not dealing with it. So
Wow, we have an onion and the layers are coming
Yeah.
down right now. Physical or mental?
mental turning to physical. And once that happened, I said, no, goodbye.
Beside myself right now. First off, blowing me away from the science knowledge and who you are. Now knowing that you've been dealing with this as well on your plate, and you're still a very positive individual. I mean, you are.
You have to
Yeah.
be positive.
I mean, I don't think I've ever come into the gym and any interaction has not been a positive interaction. And I didn't know you were going through all of that shit at
Yeah.
the same time. Shame on you, and shame on anyone else out there who's with someone who doesn't support them when they're going through a family situation, because without a doubt, that's a fucking no-no.
Yeah.
I can share with you, I was in a 3-year relationship, and I can admit this all to you as well. I was mentally abused for sure. Like, I was head over heels. It wasn't reciprocated. And the verbal abuse, I said mental abuse, the verbal abuse, which I guess becomes mental because it's what you hold on to. But the verbal abuse that I had gone through, that was also done in public as well. Yeah. It's not good. Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't physically abused. Abuse shouldn't be there anyways. I think it's very disgusting of any human being, regardless of what you're dealing with, because it comes from shit that they're dealing with, or their past or whatever, or they're projecting onto the other person. It's not cool at all. But if it turns to physical, yeah. That's the line that you can't, you shouldn't come back from that shit.
Right.
That's like, see you later, you're out. Okay, so you're an even stronger human being than I already thought you were, because that's hectic shit.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, because that's amazing that you just openly shared that with our over 300 viewers, and one day 1,000, 100,000, and then 1 million. Wow. So you were going through all this. You'd already graduated university.
No.
No, this is at the end. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
fucking not even done university yet. You have a lot of shit on your plate. Your
Yeah.
dad's got some health issues. This dude is not showing up as one should, especially a man.
Yep.
I'm going to go stereotypical on this situation. Motherfucker didn't show up and wasn't a man, didn't pick up, what he should have. Yeah, that's just not cool. Support is very important, especially if you're, I've never been married. Longest relationship I've ever had is 3 years in length. But I do know that it is absolutely important to be there for the person you're supposed to be with, and that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Sorry that you had to go through that. We have a lot of guests on our show that not necessarily are married, but a lot of them have kids, and some are married and some are in long-term relationships. There's no right relationship. There's no wrong relationship. Some of them have shared some very interesting stories about their history. There's one couple, they've both been on separately. The gentleman's coming back on in a couple weeks, and they want to come on together, but their whole story is mind-boggling because of his lifestyle while he met her. So it's interesting to me to hear the different scenarios of where the man is a man,
right?
And owns up to what it is that's going on. Did you talk to him at all anymore? No, completely.
Yeah.
What's your dad done about it?
So I didn't tell my dad at first because, he was in the hospital and I didn't want to worry him.
Right.
Then after he got out, I told him, but he was like, if I was stronger, I would go and beat his
100%.
ass. But I was like, that's why I'm telling you all you have no muscle right now.
Right.
Like, just stay
in bed. No doubt. Because I don't know if we said it on this episode. We might have said it when we were like pre-recording, that your dad was a stonemason.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyone out there that doesn't know what a stonemason is, clearly means the motherfucker's tough. Okay? He can do shit. This podcast just turned completely different, from science to emotion to some deep, dark secrets. How did you do with all that? How are you doing with all of it?
You just take it one day at a time. You gotta stay positive and know that a lot of things are out of your control. So just, take it with a grain of salt.
Yes. It's emotional regardless. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't not be. You can't not be.
I don't really have much emotion anymore.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's one trauma response that.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone deals with stuff differently. Staying positive and having that attitude is phenomenal. That is something that we try to express to everybody. Life throws itself at you sometimes, especially when you're doing good. Life will throw itself harder at you. Yeah. And knowing how to deal with adversity is not easy. But if you have the right mindset and knowing that whatever's happening now won't last forever, and conversely, it's the same thing when things are going good, enjoy it and be grateful for it because something else might happen in your life.
Exactly.
The up and down, the roller coaster of life, which it is. I personally have gone through some deep shit that has knocked me off my feet and laid me on the couch in tears. I can admit that. I've admitted it many times to my viewership. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I'm a human. I have emotions. But when it happens, it doesn't happen for long, and it's because I allow myself to realize that what's happening, I should embrace that feeling that I have, but realize that it's not going to keep me where I'm at, because I still want to go further in life. And I appreciate the sad feeling. I appreciate anger when it happens, but I know not to dwell on it and I don't keep it down in anymore. I let it out. I do what I have to do to get it out of my body. And then the very next hour or the very next morning, it's like, hey, it's a new fucking day. What am I going to do great at today? Is there any practices that you do regularly to kind of keep you in that mindset?
No,
you just are.
Yeah.
You're an enigma, if I use that word correctly. I might not have. But yeah, I feel like that's what you are. You're a different sort for sure.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing because everyone goes through adversity. You've gone through different stages in your life where you've had to kind of step up to the plate, even as a young person, manage your own life every day. Schooling, I keep bringing it up because it's not easy. School's fucking difficult, regardless what you're taking, whether it's a trade, whether it's an apprenticeship or doing science and math, it's difficult. And to be able to accomplish it and show that you have the discipline to do that would just speak volumes, obviously, in order to get a job, because the person hiring you knows that you can show up on time. They know you can handle tasks. And that is what I think people need to understand when it comes to like those who don't want to go to school. Which I get it, because I didn't go to school for a long time. But you need to go to school because it shows someone in your future that you're able to handle things that are given to you in a timely fashion. And if that's the only reason why you go to school, that's fine. If you have other aspirations and you go into school because you love it and you enjoy what you're doing and it gets you a career that you love, by all means, keep going. Do your 8 years. Yeah. So big picture, wow, we really have gone all over the map here and dove into a lot of shit. This is awesome. Big picture, you're early on in your career then.
Yeah.
Because I mean 27 is not, I don't want to say it's super young. I don't want to say it's old. It just is what it is. But I thought you were many more years in your field of research. A year and a half, 2 years is actually fairly new in it.
Yeah.
So you're going to stick around for a while with the current research project.
Yeah.
Right? And they give you new projects, or that's just like you do this for however time you feel like it, and then you say, listen,
it just depends on the demand for, that specific thing. You know, they could move me again, but
right. If they feel like they're kind of getting a good direction and they could use your brain in another field or another project. What and we may have talked about this earlier, it may not be on this recording. What would be your dream position, dream research project?
So a dream would be paleogenomics.
Paleogenomics. She said paleogenomics. Okay.
Basically, it's just studying the genome of...
I'm sorry. It's fascinating shit, but I have no idea what any of it is.
I'm trying to break it down. It's studying prehistoric DNA and comparing it through like the evolution of certain things. So say you want to look at birds, you just kind of see prehistoric birds, see if you can extract any DNA out of that, compare the genes and see how they've developed, see what's conserved, what's not.
And in hopes that would then give you some information to go on for the next 100,000 years as to where the genes might go. Yeah,
you can predict that. I personally just think it's fascinating to see where we came from. Not necessarily like humans, but just in general where the Earth
species
started.
Right, yeah. I love that topic. And we're going to, everything's working with us right now, so we're going to continue on for a bit.
Okay.
That's an interesting topic. I love that you said birds, though, because my favorite dinosaur was the pterodactyl.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just love the pterodactyl, which is kind of funny that I say that now because my company logo is a bird, which is a hummingbird. So yeah, the world itself, knowing where we came from, being that you have a science background, I would imagine you have certain beliefs on it because you're scientifically minded. I believe we've not been told the truth as to where we're at and where we've been and how long we've been here or there. We're very, very young as an entire species. The rock we live on is very interesting. It doesn't need us at all. We pretty much destroy everything by advancing ourselves. The Earth hopefully would be here a lot longer after we're gone because it doesn't need us. It fully functions better without us. Where do you think we could go from here scientifically?
I mean, the cliche or the possibilities are endless, right?
Yes.
But it is kind of true. If you look back 10 years ago to think we had the technology that we do now, like AI, you wouldn't think, the old cartoon, The Jetsons,
oh my God.
That came out,
She said old cartoon. It's what I grew up with.
But, they had, like people talking on their watches, like on the video calls and like, you can do that now.
We do that.
And that was predicted not to be for like hundreds of years. Right.
But literally that was a 1980s cartoon, if I'm not mistaken, because I saw it as a kid. And and then Star Trek, the original Star Trek, every time he opened up his flip phone, basically, that was the flip phone. I mean, we have received a lot. I mean, there's a theory that they test everything through movies and TV to make us so normalize everything so that when it happens, we're not like, oh my God. It's a funny situation because I travel for a living and I've been to like over 50 countries, and I've been to some of the poorest areas in the world and they have cell phones. Figure that one out. They're like $1,000 or more here for a brand new phone. And I've been into countries where you're going through towns where it's like you can't even think they have running water, and yet people have cell phones. Very strange. That's a whole other topic for another day, because that, like, when we get into this kind of conversation, I get really fucking deep into it because I have my own beliefs about it all, about what's really going on. Not like a conspiracy theorist. I just like having the conversation to open up other people's minds as to what may be going on, because we are fed a lot of bullshit in this world. But we're not going to get into that now.
Okay.
That we can get into on another episode, hopefully, when you come back, and I'll have all of this tech stuff figured out so that we don't lose 45 minutes of pre-recording. Yes, I'm still learning how to do this lovely thing called podcasting.
So your parents are still here in Florida?
Yes.
Okay. And your dad's doing well?
Yeah.
Yes. Yay.
Yes.
Okay. And your mom?
She's all right.
She's mom, right?
Yeah.
She's cool. Do you ever like go over there for like dinner sometimes and just be like,
Oh, yeah. All the time.
All the time? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. Dad, I hope you're doing well. Anyhow, still working at the gym, obviously.
Yes.
I've been out of country for like the better part of like a month and a half. So I haven't been there. I just started going back the past couple of days. But you're usually there on the weekends anyways, right?
Yeah, weekends I do full days.
Okay.
I go sometimes during the week, but not as much.
Okay. But you have your 9 to 5. You have your
Yeah.
your Monday to Friday every day science shit. I mean, I would be so exhausted at the end of the day. Mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your drink of choice? Because I'm like, sorry, mom and dad, but she said that that's what she does to relax.
It depends, but I can go for a scotch on the rocks.
Who are you? What's your favorite scotch? Don't even say it. No, hold on a second. I'm going to, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to write a word because if you fucking say this, I'm going to lose my entire brain. I don't have my glasses on.
I mean, it's everyone's favorite.
Okay, then it's probably not going to be the one I'm writing down right now.
No, it's probably not.
What is it?
Johnny Blue Label.
Okay. I mean, no, that's okay. Granted. Okay. I'm not going to flip my lid. I wrote down the word Oban.
Okay.
She likes scotch, guys. Scotch. And she's super fucking smart. You're a dumbass, motherfucker. Just saying. Anyhow, moving right along. Thank you so very much for coming here to the Life Choices podcast today. Really happy. I knew when we had first met, we had the first conversation about what you did for a living. I was really intrigued by it. I find it fascinating. I don't understand most of it, but it's really cool that you came here and talked to us about it. We will have another conversation down the line where we talk more about like the whole earth and everything and where it might go with like science and whatnot, because I think that'd be cool. I would learn a lot of stuff from you. Out there, thank you once again for coming by every week watching the Life Choices podcast. I appreciate the growth that we're having and having all of you lifers. If you're new to the show, become a lifer. Join us every week. If there's anything you want us to talk about, just leave a comment down below. You can also email me directly if you want to be a guest on the show as well. All of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, everything is down below here for you as well. We appreciate you coming by every week. We will see you next week, Tuesday at 2, as always, here on the Life Choices podcast. And enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Much love.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.